Big chance high voltage, the family of the person you love just talked about you. This is what they said. Listen carefully, because this is not random. This is not coincidence. This is not just another emotional title passing in front of your eyes. Something shifted behind the scenes. The family of the person you love spoke your name with intention and weight. You may have been sitting quietly wondering where you stand in their world, questioning if you are part of their future or just a chapter they are unsure about. But while you were thinking in silence, your presence was being discussed in a room you were not in. Families do not bring up someone's name unless that person carries meaning, and your name carried meaning in that space. The conversation did not begin loudly, it began subtly, maybe during dinner, maybe during a casual phone call, maybe during a moment when your person seemed distracted and someone noticed. They asked, "What is on your mind? Why do you seem different lately?" And slowly your story began unfolding in that room. They wanted to know who you are, what kind of heart you have, what kind of future you represent, what kind of energy you bring into their loved one's life. Your person did not dismiss you, they did not change the topic, they did not shrink your importance. Instead, they spoke about you with seriousness. They mentioned your strength, your softness, your patience, even your silence. Because lately your silence has been louder than words. You have been holding back, protecting your heart, choosing not to chase, choosing not to beg for clarity, and that distance was felt. Their family sensed a shift. They asked, "Is everything okay? Are you serious about this person? Where is this heading?" Those are future-oriented questions, asked only when someone is being considered long-term. This was not gossip, this was evaluation. Some were cautious, some protective, some quietly supportive, but none indifferent. Indifference would mean you do not matter, but curiosity and concern mean you matter enough to be examined carefully. Someone may have said, "If they make you happy, that is important." Someone else may have asked, "Will they stand by you when things get difficult?" These were not attacks, they were reflections of care, because families want stability, reassurance, peace for the person they love, and in that room your person defended you. They clarified misunderstandings, corrected assumptions, expressed feelings they may struggle to express directly to you. Sometimes it is easier to talk about love when the beloved is not in front of you, and in that moment your presence became real, not imaginary, not temporary, but real. There was a pause after your name was spoken, a silence where everyone processed what this could mean, and that pause carried weight because families only pause when they are thinking long-term, when they are imagining possibilities, gatherings, introductions, shared moments, and your person's tone changed when they spoke about you, softer, more certain, more protective, as if they were not just explaining you but claiming you in a quiet way. And that shift matters more than you know. Big chance high voltage, the family of the person you love just talked about you. This is what they said, and what happened next was even deeper than you imagine. Because once your name entered that room, it did not leave quickly, it stayed in the air. It circled through thoughts, it settled into hearts. Someone leaned back and listened more carefully, someone exchanged a glance, someone asked another question, not out of doubt but out of seriousness, because when families sense that something is real they do not treat it lightly. They begin measuring character, consistency, intention. They begin asking what kind of future could be built here, and your person did not hesitate the way you fear they might. They did not laugh it off or call it casual. Their voice carried weight. They spoke about how you think, how you care, how you show up even when things are complicated. They mentioned moments you probably forgot, small gestures that meant everything to them, conversations that stayed in their mind long after they ended, the way you understand without needing long explanations, the way your silence sometimes feels safer than noise. And as they spoke, the energy in that room shifted from curiosity to contemplation. Because now you were not just a name, you were a presence. Someone asked about your background, someone wondered about your dreams, someone asked if you are strong enough for the challenges ahead, and your person answered with a calm confidence that surprised even them. They said you are not perfect but you are real, not loud but steady, not dramatic but deep, and that steadiness mattered, because families look for stability more than excitement. They look for someone who will stay when storms come, not just shine when the sun is out, and your person made it clear that you are not temporary in their heart. There may have been one voice in the room that sounded cautious, reminding them to move slowly, to be careful, to protect themselves, but even that caution was not rejection, it was protection, because when love starts to look serious, families instinctively guard it, and your person did not shrink under that caution. They listened respectfully, but they did not withdraw their feelings. They did not erase you to make the conversation easier. Instead, they held their ground gently, explaining that what they feel with you is not impulsive, it is growing, not fantasy but something grounded, and that is when something important happened. The conversation stopped being about whether you matter and started being about how this could move forward. Someone said if this continues we should meet them properly. Someone else wondered what kind of person you are face to face, and in that moment you were no longer invisible. You became a possible future, a potential addition to shared spaces and shared stories. And while all of this unfolded, you were probably questioning everything. Wondering why communication feels slow, wondering why clarity feels delayed, not realizing that behind closed doors your name is being processed carefully, weighed thoughtfully, because serious things move slower than temporary things. Real intentions take discussion, and your silence recently has amplified their awareness. Your distance made them realize what your presence means. Sometimes it takes the possibility of losing something for people to see its value clearly. And your person felt that shift. They felt your emotional boundary. They felt that you are not endlessly available without reassurance. And when their family noticed that tension, they understood this is not a casual story, this is something with emotional depth. Someone may have asked, are you ready for what this requires? Because love is not just feeling, it is responsibility. It is integration into each other's worlds, and your person did not answer lightly. They paused, they thought. And that pause was not doubt about you, it was awareness of seriousness, because when someone sees a real future they feel the weight of it, and they admitted that what they feel for you is not easy to walk away from, not something they can replace quickly. You bring calm into their chaos, you challenge them without humiliating them, you support them without controlling them, and those qualities were spoken aloud, maybe not perfectly, maybe not poetically, but honestly, and honesty in family conversations is powerful, because families can sense exaggeration but they also sense truth, and your person's tone carried truth. They may have defended your quiet nature, explaining that you are not distant, you are thoughtful, that you are not cold, you are careful, that you are not dramatic, you are grounded, and slowly the atmosphere softened, protective energy turned into open curiosity. Not everyone immediately celebrated, but no one dismissed you either, and that balance is important. Because acceptance grows in stages, first recognition, then evaluation, then openness. And you are somewhere between evaluation and openness right now, which means movement is happening even if you cannot see it yet. And as the conversation ended, it did not end with your name being forgotten, it ended with your name lingering, with someone saying, let us see where this goes, with someone else quietly nodding, and your person carrying a mixture of relief and pressure. Relief because they did not hide you. Pressure because now it feels real, now it feels like something that must either grow stronger or fade honestly, and deep down they do not want it to fade, they want clarity with you, they want alignment, they want to know if you are still willing, because family discussions often push people to define their intentions more clearly, and that is where the shift is happening now. Inside them, they are thinking about you more seriously than before, not in fantasy but in planning, not in impulse but in consideration. And if communication has felt slow, it is because internal decisions are forming, they are measuring their readiness to bring you closer, to integrate you properly instead of halfway, because once family is aware there is no casual middle ground anymore, things either progress or dissolve, and your energy lately has shown that you will not stay in confusion forever, that you value yourself enough to step back if needed, and that self-respect actually increased their respect for you. Because families and partners both recognize strength when they see it. And strength does not always shout, sometimes it simply stops overgiving, and that is what you did, you stopped overextending without clarity. And that shift echoed louder than any argument would have, and now your person is at a crossroads internally, knowing that your name has been spoken, your presence acknowledged, your future considered, and crossroads create decisions, and decisions create movement. So this is not a random moment, this is a turning point, something is aligning slowly, something is being prepared, and while you wait wondering what they truly feel, know this: your name was not spoken lightly, it was spoken with seriousness, with defense, with subtle pride, and that means more than silence ever could. The process is unfolding quietly, but it is unfolding. And what was once private emotion is becoming shared awareness, and shared awareness is the first step towards something real big. Chance high voltage. The family of the person you love just talked about you, this is what they said. And after that conversation something inside your person did not go back to normal, because once love is spoken in front of family it stops being just a feeling and starts becoming a direction. They carried your name differently after that night, not just in their heart but in their responsibility, because when others know about you the connection becomes accountable, it becomes something that cannot hide in confusion forever, and that awareness followed them into their quiet moments, into their late-night thoughts, into the pauses between their messages to you. You may have sensed a shift without understanding why, maybe. Their tone felt heavier, maybe their words felt more careful, maybe they seemed distracted or unusually thoughtful. That is because they are no longer thinking only about emotions, they are thinking about structure, about timing, about how you fit into their real world, and fitting into someone's real world is deeper than fitting into their fantasies. Their family did not just ask if they like you, they asked if you are compatible with their life, with their responsibilities, with their long-term path, and those questions echo long after the conversation ends. Someone might have asked what kind of values you hold, how you handle conflict, whether you bring peace or pressure, and your person reflected deeply before answering, because answering those questions means defining you honestly, and they chose honesty over exaggeration. They admitted you are strong-minded, that you do not tolerate disrespect, that you value clarity, and instead of presenting that as a flaw they presented it as maturity, because deep down they admire that you do not beg for crumbs, they admire that you stand firm in your worth, even when it creates distance, and that distance recently made them realize how much emotional space you actually fill in their life. Sometimes absence clarifies importance more than presence ever could, and when their family sensed that your silence affected them, they understood this is not casual. This is attachment, this is depth. One elder voice may have said, if this is serious then you must handle it properly. Do not waste their time, Do not create confusion, and those words hit differently, because now your person is aware that indecision is no longer harmless, now it has consequences, now it has witnesses, and witnesses make love accountable. They are thinking about whether they have shown you enough reassurance, whether they have matched your emotional investment, whether they have allowed fear to slow something that deserves courage, and courage is being tested right now, because integrating someone into family awareness means choosing them with intention, not halfway, not secretly, not temporarily, and your person feels that pressure gently building, not pressure from family alone but pressure from their own conscience, because they know you deserve clarity, they know you deserve consistency, and the more your name was discussed the more real you became in their future vision. Someone may have even imagined what it would look like if you visited, how conversations would flow, how dynamics would blend, and imagination is powerful because it makes possibility tangible. Once possibility becomes tangible it cannot be ignored easily, and your person replayed that discussion later in private, analyzing every comment, every reaction, every subtle nod or hesitation, not to judge you but to prepare themselves. They are thinking about what steps need to be taken next, whether it is deeper communication, a serious talk, a clearer commitment, because the moment family involvement enters the picture the relationship demands evolution, it cannot stay undefined forever, and you might feel that something is brewing, something unspoken building beneath the surface. That feeling is not anxiety, it is transition. Transitions feel uncomfortable because they require change, and change demands decisions. Your person is standing between comfort and courage. Comfort would mean keeping things as they are, undefined but safe from responsibility. Courage would mean stepping forward, claiming you openly, aligning actions with feelings, and the family conversation nudged them toward courage, even if they are not fully there yet. Someone might have expressed concern about timing, about career stability, about readiness, and those practical concerns are not rejection of you, they are reflections of reality. And your person is balancing heart with practicality right now, trying to ensure that when they move it is sustainable, not impulsive, because sustainable love survives scrutiny, and scrutiny has already begun. The fact that your name was discussed means you passed the first invisible threshold. You are no longer an unknown variable, you are a recognized presence, and recognized presence carries power. It shifts dynamics internally, it forces introspection, it challenges fear, and your silence lately has amplified that power. Because instead of chasing reassurance you stepped back, and stepping back made them step forward internally. They are evaluating how to show you that you are not just discussed but chosen, not just defended but valued, because being defended in front of family is one thing but proving commitment through action is another, and they know the next phase requires action, subtle at first but meaningful. You may notice more intentional communication, more transparency, more alignment between words and behavior. Because when love is spoken publicly it cannot remain vague privately. And this is where the real shift happens, not in dramatic declarations but in steady decisions. They are realizing that if they want you in their life long term they must build something solid enough to present confidently, no half-truths, no mixed signals, and that realization is powerful. It may take time because growth always does, but growth is happening. Your name opened a door, your presence initiated evaluation, your silence demanded seriousness, and now the path ahead is clearer than before. Even if it feels slow, slow does not mean stagnant. Slow can mean careful, intentional, deliberate, and deliberate love lasts longer than rushed passion. So understand this clearly. The family conversation was not random noise, it was a catalyst. it was a mirror forcing your person to see their own feelings without distraction, to measure their readiness honestly, to confront their fears directly, and they are doing that work quietly. You may not see it yet, but the internal shift is undeniable, because once love is acknowledged in front of family, it either strengthens or fades, and fading would have required dismissal, and there was no dismissal, there was defense, there was contemplation, there was cautious openness, and those are foundations, not endings, so something is forming beneath the surface, something more grounded than before, and whether it becomes official, defined, or deeply committed will depend on the courage they choose next. But one thing is certain: you are no longer invisible in their world, you are part of real conversations, real considerations, real possibilities, and that changes everything. Big chance, high voltage. The family of the person you love just talked about you. This is what they said, and this is the part no one tells you about. After the voices fade and the room goes quiet and everyone returns to their routines, the real impact begins inside the heart of the person you love. Because once your name has been spoken in front of the people who raised them, guided them, protected them, your connection is no longer light, it carries gravity, it carries expectation, it carries vision, and that gravity followed them long after the conversation ended. They sat alone replaying every word, every reaction, every question that was asked about you, not with fear but with awareness, because awareness changes everything. Before this you were their private emotion, their hidden comfort, their quiet attachment, but now you are a possibility that has been witnessed, and being witnessed makes love accountable. It forces honesty, it demands maturity, and your person felt that shift deeply. They realized that if they continue with you they must continue seriously, not halfway, not casually, not with confusion that stretches endlessly, because once family involvement begins the connection either evolves or dissolves, and dissolving something that has already been defended becomes harder. They defended you more than you know. They corrected assumptions, they softened doubts, they explained your depth in ways you may never have heard directly. They described how you think before reacting, how you value respect, how you withdraw instead of creating chaos, and even if some family members remained cautious they could not ignore the conviction in your person's tone. Conviction is powerful because it reveals where the heart stands even when the mind hesitates. And your person's heart did not hesitate when your character was questioned. They spoke with steadiness, not exaggerating, not romanticizing, but grounding their words in real experiences with you, and that authenticity made an impression. Families sense truth. They recognize when someone is not being impulsive but intentional, and the energy shifted from doubt to contemplation, from skepticism to observation. Someone may have said, if this continues we will need to meet them properly. And that sentence alone changes the atmosphere completely, because meeting properly implies seriousness, it implies integration, it implies stepping out of shadows and into light, and your person felt both hope and pressure hearing that. Hope because the path is opening, pressure because now they must align their actions with their feelings, and alignment requires courage. They are now questioning whether they have been clear enough with you, whether they have shown consistency, whether their fear has slowed something that deserves progress. Because family conversations have a way of exposing hesitation. They highlight what is undefined, they magnify what is unresolved, and your silence recently magnified everything. When you stepped back emotionally you unknowingly triggered clarity inside them. Your absence forced reflection, your boundaries demanded seriousness, and when their family sensed that you are not someone who will wait forever without reassurance they understood this connection holds weight. Weight creates urgency. Not panic but awareness that time matters, that hearts are not toys. That indecision has consequences, and your person is standing in that awareness right now, thinking about how to move forward in a way that honors both you and themselves. They are imagining scenarios, future conversations, how they would introduce you, how you would fit into gatherings, how your energy would blend with theirs. Imagination is powerful because it makes abstract love tangible. Once tangible, it cannot be dismissed easily, and you are becoming tangible in their life story, not just a feeling but a chapter that could extend far beyond the present. Someone in their family may have reminded them that love requires responsibility, that choosing someone means choosing effort, patience, compromise, and those words echoed inside them long after the discussion ended. Because deep down they know you are not asking for perfection, you are asking for sincerity, you are asking for direction. You are asking not to be kept in emotional limbo, and now that their family is aware, keeping you in limbo feels heavier, harder, almost unfair, so a quiet decision is forming inside them, not rushed, not dramatic, but steady. They are leaning toward clarity, toward defining what this truly is, because once love has been spoken aloud, it seeks structure, it seeks stability, it seeks progression, and progression may begin subtly, with more intentional communication, with fewer mixed signals, with clearer plans, with conversations that feel grounded instead of vague. Do not mistake slowness for lack of intention. Sometimes slowness is preparation for something that must be built correctly the first time, because when families are involved, rebuilding after collapse becomes more complicated, so they are thinking carefully, measuring timing, balancing practical concerns with emotional truth. But one thing is certain: you are no longer invisible, you are no longer a secret thought tucked away in private moments. You are recognized, evaluated, defended, contemplated, and that recognition is powerful. It shifts dynamics internally, it forces growth, it challenges fear, and fear is being challenged right now. Your person is realizing that losing you would not just mean losing a romantic possibility, it would mean losing someone they already spoke about with pride, someone they already positioned as meaningful, and pride makes walking away harder. Because once you publicly value something, abandoning it exposes inconsistency, and your person does not want to feel inconsistent, they want to feel aligned, and alignment requires stepping up, so the energy around this connection is transforming, moving from uncertainty toward decision, from quiet emotion toward deliberate action, and you may feel that shift soon, maybe through a deeper conversation, maybe through a clearer commitment, maybe through an invitation that feels more intentional than before, because when family doors open even slightly, the path forward becomes visible, and visibility removes excuses. The next phase depends on courage, but the foundation is already forming, and foundations matter more than fireworks. Fireworks fade quickly, but foundations support futures. Your name was not spoken casually. It was spoken with seriousness, with reflection, with subtle pride, and pride indicates value. Value invites protection, protection invites intention, and intention invites action. So trust that something meaningful has begun beneath the surface. Trust that conversations you were not present for are shaping decisions you will soon feel. Trust that being discussed is not a small thing, it is the beginning of integration. And integration is the bridge between love and life, and now that bridge is slowly being built, carefully, thoughtfully, step by step, and what happens next will not be random. It will be the result of everything that was spoken, everything that was defended, everything that was realized in that room where your name carried weight, and that weight is turning into direction, and direction always leads somewhere real.